Hello everyone, back to tuning into today's first video, doing the March forecast for today's first video. So I'm going to have a look at some long-range model data, and I shall give you the GavsWeatherVids March forecast. We'll have a review of February's forecast and have a sneak peek at the end for April. So I shall get on with all of that very shortly. Just to say, but coming up later on today, we're going to have the European outlook, and then we'll have the regular 10 to 14 dayer for you later on today as well. Right, so let's get on with the video then. We're going to begin by having a look at what happened in February. So the GavsWeatherVids February forecast was for a rather colder than average month with around average rainfall, really, or precipitation. We did think there would be an increased risk of snow in a rather colder month. This is how things came out in terms of the 81 to 2010 average for temperatures across the UK during February. So actually it was a little bit milder than anticipated, especially so for Northern Ireland, England and Wales. Scotland, at least the northern and eastern parts of Scotland, did have a colder than average month. Very interesting that it comes out slightly milder than average, even though it contains the coldest period of the winter. So the second week of February saw the coldest temperatures of the winter, and very, very cold in the northern half of the country. You know, really extreme frost for some northern parts of Scotland. Coldest sort of February minimum since like 1955, I think, for parts of the Scottish Plains. But despite all of that, actually coming out in slightly milder average month, and the reason was that we had a very mild second half of the month. The final sort of week, 10 days, was exceptionally mild. So averaging it all out, we did come away with like a slightly mild average month for England, Wales, Northern Ireland, a little bit colder for Scotland, even though it contained the coldest period of the entire winter. Precipitation-wise, so Northern Scotland has a drier than average month. That's again indicative of all of the northern blocking sitting just to the north of Scotland, sending the jet stream southwards. Not as wet in February compared to December and January, but even so, above average precipitation again for southeastern parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, some parts of Wales coming out with quite a wet month as well. The Midlands, central, southern, southeastern England nearer to normal, not as unsettled in February. There. So a funny old February brings to an end a strange winter. We will be reviewing the GavsWeatherVids winter forecast as well, by the way. I don't think that went too badly at all, but we'll be doing a review of that, you know, in a day or so's time, a few days' time. But yeah, I wouldn't say that the GavsWeatherVids February forecast was all that successful. I think we underestimated the mild weather in the second half of the month. It was a little bit more unsettled probably than anticipated as well. I'd say it's like a 5 out of 10, like a 2.5 out of 10, something out of 5, something like that. So not overly successful, but we did correctly identify that it would, you know, February would contain the coldest period of the winter. So that went right, but the second half just went very, very mild. Anyway, that's February done and dusted. Let's have a look and see what CFSV2 is forecasting for March. So here we go. Anticyclonic March, if this is right. 700 millibar high dominantly with a large area of high pressure sitting over northern and western parts of Europe. Low pressure is to our north. The jet stream is pushed northwards as well during March. Temperature anomalies are forecast with CFSV2 to be mild and average, not just the UK, but through most northern and western parts of Europe. Temperature anomaly for the UK and Ireland in those orange terrain colours, so around half degree to 1 degree above average. And the precipitation just does look rather bizarre. I think something's gone a little bit wrong here, so I don't think that blue area just there across northern France, southwest England should be there, really. I think it should be driving average through most parts of Europe, with the blue area like up here along with the jet stream as well. So a dry and mild anticyclonic March being forecast by CFSV2. CANSIPS looks like this is mean sea pressure anomaly. Again, showing high pressure just to our west-southwest, maybe not quite as centrally located over the UK as the CFS has it, but anticyclonic signal, low pressure is up to the north along with the jet stream as well. Temperature anomaly with CANSIPS is forecast to be slightly above average in those sort of pale yellow colours, which is like half a degree to 1 degree above average. A little bit more unsettled with CANSIPS compared to CFS V2. That's because the high pressure is slightly further west-southwest and land more influence from the jet stream. So the precipitation on it is a little bit above average, particularly for more northern and west areas, driving average just to our south and southwest. And Bayesian Climate Centre looks like that. So 500 millibar height anomaly from the 6th of March to the 4th of April has high pressure above average heights just to our west, just to our west, probably bringing in like a northwest southeast alignment of the jet stream. So the Bayesian Climate Centre temperature is actually a little bit cooler than average. This out of the three, this is the coolest model, slightly below average temperatures being predicted there from the Bayesian Climate Centre for March. Quite a dry month as well, so we have drier than average precipitation, but slightly cooler than average temperatures. So a little bit of a mixed bag, actually, across those models. We've got CFS V2 looking generally mild, dry, and, you know, real high-pressure fest. We've got the CANSIPS model that looks quite a little bit, quite unsettled. You know, it does have a high-pressure influence just to our west-southwest, but overall it is more westerly, it's more Atlantic-driven, so it's a bit wetter than average for northern and western areas, and just a little bit more influence of jet stream. Then we've got Bayesian Climate Centre, which is actually, again, anticyclonic, but the high pressure is light to our northwest, which brings down quite a cool northerly wind, or northwesterly wind, and we come away, despite being a drier month, we come away rather cool. So it's a mixed bag. I think we're going to go for a mixed and rather changeable March, in line with the GavsWeatherVids spring forecast. I see no reason to deviate from that at the moment. So I think the CFS, for example, is going too far with the high pressure. I think it will be a little bit more unsettled, but it won't be a washout of month. We'll have drier and wetter periods alternating. So high pressure and low pressure will be at times through this month battling it out. I would say like the second week of the month is likely to be the most unsettled period, and then we probably go into another spell of high pressure later on in the second half of the month. That probably brings a spell of spring-like weather, but it might go really unsettled again, towards the end of the month, and possibly a little bit colder again towards the end of the month. Temperatures, I think, come out very close to average. I'd imagine I'll have colder and milder spells offsetting one another, so probably a little bit cooler in the first half compared, or a little bit colder first half compared to the second half. Overall, I wouldn't expect a particularly big deviation either way. And precipitation wise, again, I would say quite close to average, with these colder and wetter spells offsetting one another, and as we oscillate and alternate between high pressure and low pressure. There is an increased risk of snow, I think, again with this March, due to the fact that we will have cold weather digging in at times, so don't be overly surprised if you get like one or two snow events, particularly so for more northern areas, but maybe not exclusively so. Even down in the south, we'll completely rule out one of the areas of low pressure, going on a southerly track and engaging with colder air and maybe producing some snow. So overall, just a rather cool average type March. Cooler, colder and milder spells offsetting one another, and wetter and drier spells offsetting one another. Rather changeable, and certainly nothing like the consistently dry and warm weather that we had last March. I think this will be a much more changeable March, setting up a much more changeable spring compared to spring 2020 as well. But there will be some spring-like weather to enjoy at times. Finally, a sneak peek of April. That's how it's looking. So, again, quite an anticyclonic signal. Really this time a high pressure sitting just to our west and southwest. Still sending a jet stream to the north with the low pressure. So that should be quite a nice April, I would have thought. Some influence from the jet stream. May bring some unsettled weather in at times. But not too bad, really, for April. Both April and also March should have some decent weather involved with it. Let's get rid of that and end the video. Right, so that's it for video number 1 for today. So overall, looking very, very average of March. Nothing overly dramatic, but I think there is a risk of some snow coming through at times in what is a rather cooler March than particularly had last year. And yeah, just alternating really and changeable this March. Right, that's the best we can do for you. We're going to be back later on with the European Outlook, and then we'll have the 10 to 14 days. So come back for that then for the March 2021 forecast from GavsWeatherVids. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.